welcome to Tech Talk with Victor Ark, and of course you're watching your most exciting TV station, and this is Rave Television. Of course, in a time and season like this where, cybersecurity is really very important, a lot of persons have, lost their gadgets, their equipment, and sometimes there's always a price to pay for misplacing those particular gadgets. And that price sometimes could be the fact that your bank account can be hacked. Why? Because your phone is already made vulnerable. And of course, today we're going to be having a conversation centered around cybersecurity. What can you do to ensure that if your gadget, your phone specifically, is being stolen or being misplaced, you're not left at the mercy of whoever has stolen, your gadget. In Nigeria, they say the original owners, but of course, it's your gadget, but it has been stolen. So what can you do to ensure that it's being saved? And so we have a cybersecurity expert who is going to be having a conversation with us today, centered around cybersecurity. And of course, her name is Talashe Jimo. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Such a smooth introduction. Thank you so much, Victor. It's my pleasure to be here. Super excited. When I walked in and I saw you wearing black and black, I was guy be spying on me.
I was actually spying on you from the spirit eyes. Well, of course, it's good to have you here as well. And you look amazing. I mean, ravishly gorgeous. How do you do that?
Thank you. I don't know. It's just innate. And I think I'm also trying to demystify that, that logic that women in tech are not fashionable. It's not true. It's not true, no. You can be beauty and brains at the same time. You can balance these things out. Why not? Why not?
Of course, you heard it, you can be beauty and brains at the same time. But again, let's begin the conversation this morning. Now, lots of persons have heard cybersecurity, and some persons are saying this is a term that sounds maybe Herculean to us, and we do not even know what it means. Let's give a background to it. What's really cybersecurity?
Thank you so much for that question. And honestly, great question, because that's the first place to start. What exactly is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the protection of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your data, your assets, your information, your infrastructure, pretty much. And up until now, it's been a very alien concept, to a lot of emerging markets to which Nigeria does belong. But then it's good to see that it's now taking a center stage. People are getting a bit more conscious and cautious, but only because people are also falling prey rapidly every day. You hear about things like, somebody enters a WhatsApp group and then next thing is they're texting you and they're saying, hey, can you send me money? They hack somebody's number and then they're asking for money, and a lot of people fall prey to it, and you wonder how it doesn't even click that you could actually call the person who's asking you for money to say, hey, did you really send me a request for money? There always has to be layers to double check. So cybersecurity is the awareness of the fact that your digital devices, as helpful and useful as they are also the open door to you, being vulnerable to a lot of cyber attacks out there.
That's right. Of course, with that particular knowledge, just get seated. And when we come back from this break, we're going to delve straight, more deeper into the world of cybersecurity. Secure your mobile device with SIM-lock. In an era where mobile devices play a crucial role in our daily lives, safeguarding your personal and financial information is paramount. The increasing incidence of phone theft and unauthorized SIM card usage poses significant risk, making it imperative to take proactive measures. You might want to ask, what is SIM-lock? SIM-lock is a security feature on most modern mobile devices. It allows you to set up a unique PIN code or password. Now, this adds a layer of protection, ensuring that even if your device falls into the wrong hands, unauthorized access to calls, messages, and sensitive data will be thwarted. It helps in preventing identity theft. Now, cybercriminals often exploit stolen phones to access personal information, leading to identity theft and financial fraud. How do I activate SIM-lock on my Android phone? 1. Navigate to Settings on your Android device. Select Security and then click on Set up SIM card lock. Click on Lock SIM card and insert in default SIM card PIN, which is 0 in 5 places. Tap on Change SIM card PIN to set your unique 4-digit PIN. In other words, set your own 4-digit PIN and then confirm your new PIN. Once you've done that, restart your phone or you power off your phone and put it back on to check if the SIM PIN is activated. Remember, always receive prompt to insert your SIM PIN when needed. Now, if you forget your SIM PIN, contact your service provider for assistance. A SIM lock adds a crucial layer of security, protecting your information in the long run. Glad to have you back on your More Society in TV station. Of course, you're watching Tech Talk with Victor Arke, and today we're talking about cybersecurity. Before we went on that break, we actually established the concept and, of course, the meaning of cybersecurity. And, of course, the cybersecurity expert, Tolashe Jimo, is right here in the studio with us to do justice to that particular conversation. Now, if you've ever misplaced your phone before, and if also fallen prey to a lot of persons coming to your DM, to pose as someone that you used to know, just all in the guise of trying to get some monies from you. Now, these are situations, of course, that individuals have witnessed, in various times and seasons. Now, the first question would be, what can be done to ensure that once my phone is stolen, it is secured?
That's a great question. So first of all, I'll say one of the things you want to definitely do is employ the native security that is resident on your phone. And I know that that may sound big, but
Yeah.
it's basically, deploying the security tools. And some people don't even know that your phone has like security features.
Sure.
I think the one that's the most popular is us using the lock screen. And some people don't even use it. I'll say like our moms,
Yeah.
they're not like, oh, why am I locking my phone? So you probably won't lock their phone. You can use the lock screen. Also setting like the timer to say, if I have, like say 5 seconds or 10 seconds of inactivity, I need this phone to lock.
Right.
And sometimes we make it longer because it's just, we want convenience, for lack of a better word. We're looking for that convenience. But those things, the conveniences that we, thrive on, sort of like open the door for us to be attacked. So just ensuring, first of all, that you have a good timing on your phone for
Right.
for inactivity lock. And then the other thing will be for all your critical apps on your phone, you want to ensure that you have at least multi-factor authentication. Now, what are your critical apps? Your bank apps. Whatever app that has to do with payment, whatever app that has something that borders around your personal information, because sometimes we only think that, when we talk about cybersecurity, we think about protecting our money.
Right.
But there's also protecting your
Privacy.
identity.
Okay.
There's protecting your identity. And so I know that there's some chat apps that allow you to lock your chat. I'm sure that's the one that a lot of us think, I have to lock my chat. I don't want them to. But how about your bank apps? There's something called single sign-on.
Okay.
Single sign-on is a feature where once enabled, you're able to log into most of your applications across the board. It just makes it a bit more convenient for you to use certain apps on your phone. But if you do have SSO, what you want to ensure then is that you have multi-factor authentication.
Right.
And what exactly is multi-factor authentication? The process of you getting authenticated, allowed into an app, is the authentication and authorization process. Now, before the app finally lets you in, sometimes you get a prompt where it will say, enter a particular code,
Right.
or go to a particular app and pick a code, like a token code. Those things help to prevent unauthorized access from things like your bank apps, etc. So you want to definitely ensure that you have things like multi-factor authentication enabled. Something else that you can do is, your provider, and sometimes a lot of us don't know, but then your providers too sometimes are able to, support with certain security features. That's something you need to call your provider to find out, if they have.
That's network providers, basically.
Network providers, yeah, sometimes they're able to, yeah. And if you also have a link to like the manufacturer of the phone, I know that, so without naming any brands, I know that there are some phones where, even if it gets stolen, you really can't do anything with it.
Very true.
You will need to pretty much like just wipe the data, even if you want to try to use it. So it's just being aware of what security tools are available to you on your phone, and then for the various apps that you have. If you have an app that does not provide you certain security features, then you probably have no business using that app, because guess what? You don't want to make your phone or your device porous with applications that are not secure, because that in itself also opens you up to further vulnerability.
Very true. Now, a few persons had received certain calls. I, for one, as well, have received that particular call. And someone says, hello, is this Victor? I'm like, yes, this is Victor. We're sending you a code right now. Please read back that code to us. You know, and some persons have basically shared their testimony in this regard, their ordeal as well. And because of the code that was sent to them, and they also carelessly had to send it back to the person that called them, and said they lost certain privacy, lost certain monies as well. Now, in situations like this as well, what could as well be done to still further strengthen the security once you've been, or once you've now been able to let your own guard down?
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one in that case, but still redeemable regardless. What the person has done. So the code that you've received is a part of, is a feature, you know, within the multi-factor authentication system. So basically, they've tried to log into your account, whether it's Facebook, whether it's your email, and now the app is saying to them, can you please provide us with a code? Somehow they also have your phone number, maybe through a WhatsApp group or something, and they're like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to call this person and try to get a code from them. Usually, because they do have the code, the app is going to let them in and they are going to get you access.
Right.
Sometimes some of these people are very brutal and they're able to go into your account and, you know, change things like the recovery email to their email, change the phone number to their phone number. So sometimes it's a little, because at that point, you know, the application doesn't know whether you are just trying to change your details or whether it's a hacker. But there are steps that you can take, you know, to make a report and say, look, you know, this has happened. You'd be able to provide substantial information. It usually takes some time because, you know, from a security standpoint, the application team also wants to make sure that it's not a false claim. What if I'm just trying to say somebody locked me out and I want to recover? You know, so they also have to be careful that it's also not a hacker from this side of the table. So unfortunately, in those cases, you will temporarily lose access to your account. But in most cases, it is redeemable. But once you do get it back on, you need to get your game on. Things like your MFA has to be, you know, tight. Things like your, you know, lock screen security, you know, whatever else. And then just being aware, being vigilant. You can have all the security tools, but you need to be aware. You can't just have somebody call you up and say, there's a meeting this evening, this is the code, join it. No, what meeting, you know? Or sometimes they say, your parcel has arrived, this is the code, come and pick up your parcel, and so on. So the one that gets a lot of Nigerians so easily is the one where they say, you have one X amount of money. Bro, I didn't play any game, where's the money coming from? But I get it. The economic climb here is a little different, and so it's very easy for us to fall prey. I remember, I'll tell you a little story. I remember one time when I think I was just coming back from university, then I was coming back home, and I got a text message saying, oh, you've just won 1 million naira. Foolish me. I'd not played any games, you know, I'd not played any games.
Miracle money.
You know, just like, God of miracle, you know. I was so excited. But, you know, after like 5 minutes of that excitement, and I started asking myself, but wait a minute, did I apply for anything? Did I play any games? You know, and then I went and read the message again. You know, and I started seeing the flags. But in that moment of your first euphoria, you know, it doesn't come to you, I promise you, it doesn't. But being vigilant and being skeptical, having zero trust is super important when it comes to your security and cybersecurity in general.
But I think it's also important that you watch your grid level. You know, 'cause a lot of persons, just like the story you just shared right now, a lot of persons did nothing entirely. And then they see such text messages and you're so excited. Maybe God just sent me money right now out of nowhere. And immediately, boom, that's why those vulnerability comes in, basically. But you also said earlier on that some of these mistakes can be redeemable. But in a situation where one mistake has already taken away every money in your account, and you're back to zero. You know, I remember a particular scenario in Port Harcourt City, a neighbor of ours. You know, that earlier scenario I painted, she was called, and then she just released all of her details. And so while she was still where she was getting the alert in her phone. You know, monies were already going. Before she could run down to the bank, it's already
It's
gone.
gone.
You know,
Yes.
but there are certain things, you know, once someone basically has now found that this is already what is happening. So the first alert that comes maybe 20K off the account, but there should be something that could be done immediately. And we're looking at that immediate response as well, that, okay, I've made this mistake, but I need this to be fixed up immediately so I don't have to pay, you know, with my teeth for every dime I have in my account as
Yeah,
well.
no, totally. I agree with you. And that's where I feel that, you know, our banking sectors and, you know, other critical, you know, infrastructure and sectors within the economy might be able to support. Because I know that in certain foreign economies, when you do a bank transfer, there's a window, you can still cancel it.
Right.
So I'm not sure how, like, whether it's set up here fully, but there should be that window where I'm still able to, you know, just go and do like a cancellation and redeem that money back, even if the bank needs to temporarily hold the money in the vault until they understand, oh, why did you transfer and all of a sudden you're canceling. But those are controls,
Right.
security controls, that industries need to start to look into and say, hey, how can we help our people be more secure? You know, somebody can take and I honestly feel for the elderly people.
Oh, yeah, I do for them.
I really feel for the elderly people, and I'm not sure what we're doing, you know, for them as a nation. But you see, my mom was telling me a story one time of how she was at the ATM, and there was a lady who was bent over to help her. Lady was like, I will help you, mommy, give me your card. It's almost my turn. Me, I'm in front. You're still at the back. Like, at first she was like, because it was one of those times when there was like scarcity of cash and all that. And so she was really tempted. But, you know, second, because she said she was hearing my voice. Don't do that. Because me, I'm the queen of
Security.
skeptical. You know, so she was like, what would Tola do in this situation? Okay, no, Tola would say, don't do it. But this lady was, you know, really bent over to try and help her, and she's like, okay, no, don't worry. But so the people will go to them and say, oh, give me your phone. Let me help you do this transfer. So they take the elderly person's phone, they do the transfer. Maybe the person wanted to transfer 10K, they add 2 zeros, transfer 100K or something. And the elderly person doesn't know. They just say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, or like you and I, you check, like, let me know how far, what this person said. You want to shine your eye and be like, oh, let me understand what's going on here. But elderly person, they just trust that, my child, you've done it for me. They go, and then they get home maybe an hour later and they see that, you know, they've gotten, you know, more debit alerts than they bargained for, you know, and yeah, so if we had that kind of buffer where people could even do like a cancellation, I mean, that would also probably help. So unfortunately, if we don't have those kind of things, then the money is really gone. I've seen people, you know, come on social media and complain and say, XYZ bank, I'm holding you accountable. You need to remit my money back, you know.
And there's nothing that can be done.
And at that point, maybe not, but it doesn't have to get to that level.
Not at all.
If we start to think security from, you know, a design standpoint, there's something called security by design. It's a concept where as we're building processes, as we're building systems and codes and applications, we're thinking of the security, you know, what would happen if something went wrong, if, you know, if there was an attack, how do I build insecurity into even my processes? And so that's definitely something that the government and the private and public sectors can possibly look into within their various sectors to see how we can, you know, bolster security, just for the ultimate benefit of the citizens.
That's right. All right, just hold on to that. Of course, while you're beginning to think security, when we come back from the break, we'll just might just talk about a few more steps that you can take to ensure that you know, your gadgets are more secure. Don't touch the dial. Of course, you're still watching Tech Talk with Victor Arke on your most exciting TV station. Welcome back, and I believe right now that you're thinking security and you're very much conscious about that particular thought. Of course, before we went on the break, we were talking about cybersecurity and all that is basically concerned regarding that. Now, just to delve a little bit more deeper into the conversation with Tola this morning, what are some of the signs that we have to look out for to see that, well, our security is being breached?
Thank you. That's a great question. I'll break it down. I'll start with like businesses, for instance. So start with businesses. Some of the signs that there may be something wrong in your network is, you know how you go to a website and then you're trying to access a page,
Right.
and it's like the page is not coming up, page is not coming up. You're trying. And like your website is unavailable. Don't forget that at the start of the conversation, when you asked me what cybersecurity is and what the concept is built is founded on, I talked about the protection of your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, availability speaks to the readiness in the deployment of a resource anytime you need it. So if your website is unavailable, sometimes it could be an attack.
Right.
I'll give you a quick example. There was an airline that I once worked at, and we noticed that towards the end of the day, all the booking systems were usually full, or it was like people were trying to book and they couldn't book. Turned out that it was actually a cyber attack,
Wow.
but it was a cyber attack motivated from or by the competition. Very interesting. The thing is, there's so many reasons, because I think that's another different topic, is why do people even carry out cyber attacks? There's so many reasons why people carry out cyber attacks. Some people do it for like personal interest. Some people do it as nation state, inter-nation warfare. It's insane what goes on. But then, for your business, things like even the availability of your website, sometimes you're just sitting down on your computer, then it starts to type on its own. Hard. There's that too. Sometimes it's probably your keyboard is damaged, but it could also be the sign of a virus. It could be the sign of a malware. So the malware this time is an intentional infiltration of your system, with malignant software, payload, whatever it is, that goes into your system and causes a manipulation of the function of that system. So sometimes, I'm not saying that every time you see your keyboard, something typing, then there's a problem, but really, there's no ghost in your computer. Why should it be typing on its own? So that's something, that's also a sign that maybe there's something wrong when something is too slow. I know that sometimes our network, we struggle with like bandwidth and all, but sometimes when something's dragging a little too much, it could be the sign of some adverse infiltration into your system, your network. For individuals, I mean, the signs, unfortunately, they're usually like, for individuals, when you start to see the signs, you're probably already getting a little too late. And even same for businesses, really, depending on the scale or gradient of the attack.
Right.
So for an individual, I mean, for instance, multiple debit alerts that you did not initiate. One time I was sitting down in my house and I just saw 10K from the account twice. I'm like, I'm not in Ijebu throwing money from my account. So look out for those kinds of things. You just literally need to be alert. There's no way to go around it.
Right.
With cybersecurity, we prefer to preach prevention, because if you wait to look out for signs, at that point you're trying to deploy corrections. And at the point of deploying corrections, it's already in the system. It doesn't mean it can be purged, but it's already in the system. So cybersecurity, experts and professionals like us would rather preach going the preventive method and saying, okay, what do I do to avoid, getting breached or getting hacked? That's like the first place to start. But if you do feel like you've been locked out of your account or something else that you can't log into your account, it tells you, oh, your password was changed 3 days ago, but you did not change your password. So you're kind of like, what's going on? Those kinds of things. And they might be subtle. There might be subtle signs, but you need to act quickly. I know that some apps will say, oh, if this wasn't you, click here to secure your account. Sometimes too, you'll just sit and then you'll see like a login notification. Somebody's trying to log into your account from Russia. You don't even have passports. You've never gone anywhere before. So who is in Russia that is trying to enter your account? obviously that person would most likely not have been successful because it looks like maybe they would have needed like an MFA to get in, and that's why you are seeing login attempt, an attempt but it wasn't successful. So anything that is fishy, anything that is abnormal, anything that is a little bit of a deviation from the norm, engage and deploy your skepticism, zero trust. Those things are super important.
And of course, there you have it. This is where we are going to draw the curtain now to this edition of Tech Talk with Victor Arke. And I'm sure right now that you begin to think consciously about cybersecurity, and please take all of the preventive measures that have been shared today. Our guest has been the amazing cybersecurity expert, Talasha Jimo. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank
I'll
you.
do this again in a heartbeat. Thank you for having me.
That's right. Of course, we're going to be having you as often as we can. My name is Victor Arke. Until next time, keep clicking and please stay safe out there.